So let's start with you. What does preparedness look like, and how do we get there?
Okay, so actually, the way I think about it is there are two ways for you to get prepared. One way is that your boss just told you to do it, to get a preparedness program. The other way is that you get caught with, how do we call it in Israel, with your pants down. And of course, when I was the system in Israel Railways, that's what happened to me, because on Thursday night, and you know, in Israel, the weekend starts on Thursdays. So we had a very big cyber attack on one of our operational systems that affected the docks. And when you sit down and when you try to think who you should call, who is responsible for that system, what should you do, and how do you do it, you come to realize that you need to be prepared. And this is something that we understood a long time ago. And this is why when we sit down with our clients, we try to convince them that, you know, they have to do it in one or two ways. One, they need to do it manually, or they can do it automatically like we do. And either way, they need to be prepared. This is a crucial point.
Okay, super. Thanks, Israel. And Eddie, what does preparedness look like? Can you comment?
Yeah, so a bit like what Israel said. So I think it's being able to understand exactly what your environment looks like. You know, so on the train is really important that you have a clear, you know, understanding of the different assets on the train. But I think what is also very important is being able to start building realistic scenarios of what can potentially happen, so that you can start to think about countermeasures. One of the things that is probably not talked about is the complex ecosystem of participants in the train. So you've got suppliers, integrators, you've got the train operating company. So it's really important that you have a clear visibility of all the different stakeholders, so that you know who to contact, which will give you an indication of how prepared you are.
Okay, thank you. Paul, can you comment as well on preparedness and what it looks like?
I suppose I come at this from a very different angle. So I'm not a cybersecurity expert. My background is in safety management systems and keeping the railway safe. And cybersecurity is, in some ways, a bit of a side issue. But from my point of view, a cyber incident can turn into a very real safety incident. So I'm expecting the railway companies that we regulate to address the risks from cybersecurity, so managing their software-based systems, maintenance, all the other things, in exactly the same way that they should be doing under their existing safety management system. Every railway in this country has a safety management system that we've audited and reviewed and certified. We expect them to put the cyber risk in there and make it happen in exactly the same way as if you're managing any other risk. I suppose that's probably where I would put it. And so it's being proactive.
Thank you, Paul. Gear, from a Vi Group perspective.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, but I think our key priority in any type of preparedness work in preparation for an incident in the cyber domain is to maintain our critical functions, which means to keep our trains running primarily. Secondly, keep our commercial channels open and our information channels open. And once we have achieved that, most other things can be handled quite well. I think you also should when we talk about preparedness, I think we should also add to it the concept of robustness, because that's what we try to achieve through our preparedness work. We try to build a robust organization that's prepared to maintain its functions even under duress and under stressful conditions, whether that be an attack in cyberspace or a natural disaster like a flood or similar natural hazards. And then that's our priorities. And how we do this is was mentioned scenario planning, which is one very good way to start. But once you have planned a few scenarios, you really need to practice, and that's where we add the exercises we do, and we try to practice every part of our organization for different types of hazards and incidents to maintain preparedness. So that's what it looks like from our side. I think also it's very interesting that was noted that we are part of a larger ecosystem where our robustness is to a smaller or larger degree, depending on what area of our organization we're talking about, dependent on other organizations being robust themselves. So that's the coordination of the planning and the actions to be taken is absolutely very important between us as an operator and with our infrastructure owner, with our vehicle maintainers, etc., all our different vendors and suppliers. Thank you.
Super, thank you. Yeah, it's an interesting comment, and I'll try and follow the bullets a bit here. But when you're talking about building a robust organization, that's clearly a conversation we need to have here before we end. But Israel, do we know who to call in the event of an incident in relation to being prepared? Do we know who to call? Do we know what we're going to do?
So most of the time, I have to tell you that what we see in the field is the answer is no. Because, you have so many systems, and each system has more than one father or a technician that's responsible for it. And, sometimes in the middle of the attack, maybe you need to tell the public